Good morning, sir. My name is Gerard Revilla from Bisad Trivi English, and my topic for today is all about the grade 9 first quarter content standard. But before I start my discussion, I would like first to define what is content standard. So content standards are guidelines that define what students should know and be able to do at specific grade levels or stages of education. These standards outline the knowledge, skills, and competencies that students are expected to achieve in various subjects or areas of study. So in reading, students are expected to identify literary elements in Anglo-American literature and other text types to enhance understanding. So what do you mean by the word Anglo-American? So these are the body of literary works written in English by different authors in different speaking countries like the US, UK, and Canada. So the combination of Anglo-American is used to emphasize the shared cultural and historical connections between England and the United States, particularly in the realm of literature. The term recognized the significant influence that British literature has had on American literature and the ongoing literary exchange between the two countries. So the combination of Anglo as England and American as United States highlights the historical ties between England and the United States. England as the birthplace of the English language and the major center of literary production has a long and rich literary tradition that has greatly influenced American literature. Many American writers have drawn inspiration from British literary works and the influence of British authors like William Shakespeare, Jane Austen, Charles Dickens, and many more can be seen in the works of American writers. So, identifying literary elements in Anglo-American literature as stated in reading, it is important for enhancing understanding because it allows the students to recognize and analyze the techniques, themes, and styles commonly found in the works of writers from both England and America. So by studying the literary elements in Anglo-American literature, students can gain insights into the cultural, historical, and social context in which these works were produced and develop a deeper appreciation for the rich literary traditions of both countries. Students are expected also to comprehend and interpret texts such as short stories, poems, and plays to gain insights about themselves and the world around them. And they must be able to identify and analyze literary elements such as setting, character, plot, theme, and figurative language. So through reading the different Anglo-American literature, students can also gain insights into the cultural, historical, and social context of this um, literature. And they can also examine various themes and ideas explored by Anglo-American writers such as, for example, identity, freedom, justice, or love. And also, for example, when studying Anglo-American literature, students might analyze the settings depicted in works by authors like William Shakespeare, Charles Dickens, and many more. Similarly, students can analyze the characters in Anglo-American literature. They help to examine their motivations, conflicts, and growth throughout the stories. So by doing so, student can gain a deeper understanding of human nature and the complexities of individuals in different social and historical contexts. And also, students can analyze the plot structures employed by Anglo-American writers also identifying key events and their significance within the narrative. And they can also explore the development of themes and message throughout the story, allowing them to also connect the text to their own lives and experiences. So sabi po dito, students are also expected to identify and analyze figurative language. So students can study the figurative language used by the different Anglo-American writers, such as we have metaphors, similes, imagery, and many more. So, di ba po ba, by analyzing these literary devices, students can uncover different meanings and layers of interpretation within the text, and enhancing their comprehension and interpretation skills. So in writing, students are expected to use various strategies for processing, assessing, and summarizing information to enhance writing. So content standard in this writing is focuses on developing students' ability to use various strategies for processing, assessing, and summarizing information in order to enhance their writing skills. By incorporating Anglo-American literature into this standard, we can provide students with engaging and diverse texts that they can analyze and draw inspiration from. So when students engage with Anglo-American literature, they encounter a wide range of texts that require them to process and understand complex information. So as students engage with Anglo-American literature, they can also assess the information they encounter within the text, and they can critically evaluate the credibility and relevance of the information presented and draw connection to their own lives and experiences. So when discussing Anglo-American literature in the context of writing content standards for grade 9, it is important to consider how students can apply various language strategies to effectively convey their ideas. One aspect to focus on is word derivation and formation strategies. Word derivation refers to the process of creating new words from existing ones by adding affixes, prefixes, or suffixes, or by changing the word's form of tense. In the context of Anglo-American literature, students can analyze how authors use word derivation to create different shades of meaning or evokes specific emotions. For example, they can examine how the use of suffixes like ness, example, happiness, sadness, or the word li, for example, quickly, softly, it impacts the overall tone and mood of a literary work. Word formation, on the other hand, involves the creation of new words through processes like compounding, combining two or more words, blending or combining parts of two words, or borrowing from other languages. By exploring the use of word formation in Anglo-American literature, students can develop a deeper understanding of how authors employ these techniques to enhance their writing. They can analyze the effect of compound words. Example, bloodstream, moonlight, or blended words like branch, smug, on the imagery characterization or theme of a literary piece. Another aspect to consider in grade 9 writing content standards is the importance of appropriate word order. Students should learn how to structure sentences in a way that effectively conveys their intended meaning. This involves understanding subject-verb agreement, using modifiers correctly, and arranging words and phrases in a logical and coherent manner. In the context of Anglo-American literature, students can analyze how authors manipulate word order to create emphasis, suspense, or stylistic effects. Also, punctuation marks play a crucial role in effective writing as well. grade 9 students should be familiar with various punctuation marks and know how to use them correctly to convey meaning and enhance readability. They should understand the functions of commas, periods, question marks, exclamation marks, quotation marks, and other punctuation marks. So what is punctuation marks? Punctuation marks are symbols used to indicate the structure and organization of written language. There are several types of punctuation marks, but we will just focus on these 7 types. But before that, there are 2 kinds of punctuation. These are terminal punctuation and the pauses punctuation. When we say terminal punctuation, it refers to the punctuation marks used to identify the end of a portion of text. Example is the period, the question marks, and the exclamation point. While on the other hand, the pauses tells the reader to stop and then continue reading. It includes the comma, the semicolon, the colon, and many more. The first punctuation marks is the periods. It is used to end a sentence. Periods is used to mark the end of 2 types of sentences. We have the declarative sentences that gives information. For example, I teach English. The second one is imperative sentences. It commands or requests. For example, please don't tell her secret. So let's move on to commas. Commas are used to separate clauses or items in a list. There are different kinds of commas. The first one is listing comma. It is used to separate items. For example, I need to buy apples, bananas, and oranges from grocery store. So in this sentence, the items apples, bananas, and oranges are listed, and the comma is used to separate each item in the list. Next is the introductory comma. It is used after introductory words or phrases. For example, however, I think we should still consider his proposal. So here, an introductory comma is used after introductory words or phrases that provide context or introduce a new idea at the beginning of a sentence. It helps to create a pause and clarify the sentence structure. In this example, the comma after however indicates a separation between the introductory word and the rest of the sentence. Next is the parenthetical comma. It's used to set up non-essential information within a sentence. For example, my brother who lives in New York is a lawyer. So, the comma helps to separate this information from the main sentence. The comma after New York and indicates that the phrases who lives in New York is not necessary to understand the main point of the sentence. Next is the joining comma. It is used to join 2 independent clauses with a coordinating conjunction. For example, I studied hard for the exam, then comma, but I still didn't do well. So, a joining comma is used to join 2 independent clauses or complete thoughts with a coordinating conjunction such as and, but, or. It helps to combine related ideas into a single sentence. In this example, the comma before but separates the 2 independent clauses. I studied hard for the exam and I still didn't do well. That are joined together with the coordinating conjunction but. Next is the greeting. It is used to separate the greeting from the letter. So a greeting comma is used to separate the greeting from the rest of a letter or in email. It is used to address the recipient at the beginning of a communication. For example, Dear John. So the comma after John separates the greeting from the rest of the message that follows. So we also have the direct address comma. It is used to separate a person's name or title from the rest of a sentence when addressing them directly. For example, John, can you pass me the salt? So, in this example, it helps to indicate that the name or title is not grammatically connected to the rest of the sentence. The comma after John separates the name from the request that follows. So understanding and appropriately using these different types of commas can enhance the clarity, structure, and readability of our writing. So let's move on to the next types of punctuation, which is the semicolons. It is used to join related clauses. For example, the weather outside is beautiful. I think I'll go for a walk. So in this example, the semicolon separates two independent clauses that are related to the same topic, the subject's love of travel. The semicolon separates two independent clauses that are related to each other but could be separated into two sentences. The semicolon emphasizes that connection between the two clauses. Next is the colon. Colon are used to introduce a list or explanation. For example, please bring the following item, such as pen, notebook, and laptop. So, in this example, the colon helps to emphasize that the student should bring the different items, which are the pen, the notebook, and laptop. However, we can also use colons in um, introducing a quotation and introducing a formal statement. So remember that when using a colon, the information that follows it should directly relate to or expand upon what is stated before it. Colons are powerful punctuation marks that help to provide structure and clarity in our writing. So next is the exclamation points. These are used to show emphasis or excitement. So exclamation point is a punctuation mark used to convey strong emotion, emphasis, or surprise in written communication. It's represented by a vertical line with a dot underneath it. So this is the symbol of exclamation points. So for example, wow. So through the use of exclamation points, we can determine that the speaker is maybe excited or surprised. Next is the question marks. This is the symbol of question marks. So these are used to indicate a question. For example, do you have a girlfriend? So through the use of question marks, we can determine that the speaker is asking a question to someone. Next is parentheses. These are used to add additional information. For example, the professor, then he add who is a renowned expert in the field. He add this sentence through the use of parentheses, then will be speaking at the coherence next week. Next is the quotation marks. These are used to indicate dialogue or direct quote. So we go now to the interjections. What are interjections? These are words or phrases used to express strong emotions such as surprise, excitement, or frustration. For example, wow, oops, oh no, and hooray. So what is the connection of punctuation marks to the interjections? So the connection between punctuation marks and interjections lies in the fact that certain punctuation marks can be used to convey the tone and emotions of an interjection. For example, an exclamation mark can be added to the end of an interjection to show that the speaker is expressing strong emotion. Similarly, a question mark can be used to indicate that an interjection is a question. For example, on this, oh no. So without a question mark, this interjection expresses surprise or disappointment. However, if we add a question mark to the end of it for example, oh no. So with a question mark, it could be mean as is something bad happening. But without if we change this symbol in exclamation point, so this phrase could mean surprise or disappointment. So in this case, the question mark changes the tone of the interjection and turns it into a question. So punctuation marks can also be used to separate interjections from the rest of a sentence or to indicate a pause or hesitation in speech. For example, a comma can be used to separate an interjection from the rest of a sentence, while a dash can be used to indicate a sudden interruption or change in thought. So overall, while punctuation marks and interjections serve different purposes in language, they can be used together to convey meaning and emotion effectively. Let's move on to speaking and listening skills. Students are expected to participate actively in speech choir. So, students are now expected to actively engage in speech choir, which is a group performance where individuals recite or speak in unity. By participating in speech choir, students have the opportunity to enhance their speaking and listening skills through collaborative and coordinated efforts with their peers. And they will also develop speaking and listening skills through their involvement in the speech choir. Students will develop and improve their speaking and listening skills. This includes various aspects such as pronunciation, articulation, intonation, and projection. So by actively participating, students gain experience in effectively conveying their message and listening attentively to others. And they will also expected to use voice, tone, and pace to communicate effectively in a group setting. When we say voice, students are encouraged to utilize voice, their tone, and pace to communicate effectively in a group setting. So voice refers to the sound produced while speaking, and students should be aware of the volume, clarity, and quality of their voice. So tone refers to the emotional quality or attitude expressed through speech, and students should understand how to adjust their tone to match the context or desired effect. So pace refers also to the speed at which one speaks, and students should be able to vary their pace to suit the purpose and audience of their communication. So let's move on to language. Students are expected to use appropriate vocabulary, grammar, and syntax in various contexts, and they will also analyze and evaluate the effectiveness of language choices made by authors and speakers. So it focuses on two key aspects: the use of appropriate vocabulary, grammar, and syntax in different contexts, and the ability to analyze and evaluate the effectiveness of language choices made by authors and speakers. So by using appropriate vocabulary, grammar, and syntax is essential for effective communication. Vocabulary refers to the words and terms used in a language, while grammar deals with the rules governing the structure of sentences, and syntax relates to the arrangement of words and phrases to create meaningful expressions. So by understanding and applying these aspects correctly, students can convey their thoughts and ideas clearly and accurately. So, while on the other hand, punctuation marks play a vital role in achieving proper grammar and syntax. They serve as valuable tools for organizing and clarifying written language. Punctuation marks such as periods, commas, question marks, exclamation points, and quotation marks help to convey meaning, indicate pauses or breaks, and distinguish between different types of sentences and clauses. So without punctuation, sentences can become ambiguous or confusing, leading to misinterpretation or difficulty in understanding. So let's move on to media and information technology. Students are expected to use various technologies to access and analyze information, and evaluate the credibility of sources, and cite sources properly. So students will help to gain the skills necessary to navigate the digital world, access reliable information, and critically evaluate sources and properly cite them. These skills will enable them to be responsible and informed consumers and creators of media and information in the digital age. Here are now the performance standard of grade 9 students first quarter. A performance standard refers to a predetermined level of performance or proficiency that is expected or required in a particular task, activity, or job. It serves as a benchmark or criterion against which the actual performance of an individual, group, organization, or system is evaluated. So here are now the performance standard in the different macro skills. In reading, students are expected to analyze and comprehend different types of text related to speech choir performances such as poems, plays, and scripts. And they will also help to identify and explain how different elements of text such as tone, mode, and figurative language contribute to the overall message of a speech choir piece. So, in writing, the students are expected to write scripts and speeches that are appropriate for speech choir performances. And they will also use various writing strategies to enhance the impact of their speeches, such as using descriptive language. So, in speaking and listening, students are expected to effectively use verbal and nonverbal strategies to deliver speeches in a speech choir performance. So, the punctuation marks and interjections that I discussed a while ago is a big help in joining and performing in a speech choir because it will help the students to know where they will should stop and pause in a speech, where they will know how to convey the right tone and mode of the speech and it will help them to have a good performance in a speech choir. Then they will also collaborate with their peers to plan and rehearse speeches and performances. And they will listen actively to feedback and use it to improve their performances. While in a language, students are expected to use appropriate language and vocabulary in their speeches to effectively communicate their message. And they will analyze and explain the use of language and vocabulary in the different speech choir pieces. So in media and information technology, the students are expected to use different types of media and technology to enhance their speech choir performances such as audio and visual effects. So media and information technology enhance speech choir performances by providing audio and visual effects that elevate the overall impact. The use of technology in speech choir performances enables effective communication and creates atmosphere, adds visual interest, and fosters creativity. So, by evaluating the use of media and technology involves considering relevance and integration, technical execution, and audience response. So, it will also help the students to analyze and evaluate the use of media and technology in speech choir performances, including how they contribute to the overall impact of the performance. So that ends my report, and thank you, sir, and thank you, classmate, for listening. God bless us all.